Once upon a time, in a land not far away called Slovenia, more accurately in Kamnik, I was a wealthy countess living in Maligrad. I was a stunning, beautiful, gorgeous countess that only deserved the best there ever was. That's why I would spend my time with other important people, because the other peasants didn't deserve to breathe the air I breathe. Spending time with other royalties was fun because they were also rich, and apart from my deceased husband, my heart was beating for money. I loved money. I had a lot of it and I'd never give it to anyone. It was all mine. Others didn't deserve it. They weren't good enough for my money. Only I was good enough for it. I have no idea what those peasants were thinking, but one day there were these three priests that came to my castle. They started explaining how the triplets and how they wanted to build a triple church so they could have their boring first mass together. And then they had the audacity to ask me for money. For my money. I didn't like wasting my precious time on peasants. I also didn't like spending my money on anyone other than me. I didn't even have to think twice about embarrassing myself with donating money to anyone lower than me. Frankly, I was more than a little upset by their moronic requests. Despite my fury, I still had to remain ladylike due to my position, so I gently fixed my hair, smiled and took a deep breath before yelling, "How dare you filthy peasants step foot on my castle, let alone ask me for money? I'll tell you what, I'd rather turn into a snake this instant than give you even a single penny. You have 5 seconds to get your 30 feet off my property." To this day, I have no idea what kind of a satanic ritual they performed beforehand, and why, in their right minds, they'd ever choose to do this to their warm and loving countess. But as soon as I finished the sentence, the sky became dark, clouds arose, and next thing I know, I'm struck by this overwhelming pain, presumably lightning, that was followed by a tremendous roar and horrified screams from the priests. I was confused, because if anyone should be screaming, it should be me. That's when I looked down and saw a horrid snake tail where my legs used to be. And if that wasn't enough, the ground started shaking, and in my fury-filled haste, I gathered all my strength and hit the wall so hard I left a handprint. By now, the shaking was so hard that I was surprised that the castle was still standing, and then I remember looking to the ground when suddenly it just opens beneath my feet. I could do nothing but watch as I started falling. The fall felt like it went on forever, but I finally hit the ground. I was still somewhat in shock from the previous events, so for a second I thought I was hallucinating when I saw I was in a cave surrounded by all my riches. I was dumbfounded. I had no idea why such a thing would occur to me. I was Veronika, for God's sake. I had everything. I had no idea why anyone would do such a thing to me. So I waited for a long time. I was too embarrassed to show this horrible thing that I've become to those who I used to interact with. I'd lose everything I had. So I tried my luck with other people. This one day, I was sneaking around the castle when I heard some children playing next to the church, so I decided to risk it. I didn't want to scare my possible saviors off, so I approached them slowly and carefully, making sure my tail was as hidden as possible. Despite my best efforts, I wasn't successful, and all kids but one ran away. Luckily, one was all I needed, and I approached him slowly, not to scare off my last hope. The kid looked a bit scared, so I made sure I used the sweetest voice I could master when I said, "Hello there, little fella. I know I look scary, but if you could get a hazel rod and hit me 3 times to save me from this curse of mine." I could see he was trembling with fear, but despite that, he took a very step towards me. "Go on, I won't hurt you." He stumbled a bit closer, visibly shaking by this point. "I'll reward you greatly." I didn't mean that, but I saw his eyes lighten up with excitement, and now he started walking hastily and without hesitation. I tried my best to keep him calm and stay composed, but I couldn't help but shriek when he hit me. He jumped back, surprised by my sudden loudness. "It's okay, don't be scared. I was just surprised by it," I said, trying to calm him down. He was more reluctant when he was approaching me this time. I tried my best to brace myself so I wouldn't scare him off, but try as I might, when I felt the rod hitting me again, I couldn't help but scream even louder than I did the first time. At this point, the boy was so mortified that he went completely white, dropped the stick, and sprinted away as fast as he could. I was so angry, I let out the most terrifying scream. It was so loud that the whole mountain shook and howled out a fortune we said. The spruce from which the cradle that will be used to rock the child who didn't grow up to save you won't grow up for ages. Hearing that made me so upset I quickly slithered back to my cave. It's been centuries by now, and still I wait for someone to save me. I've gotten so desperate that I'm willing to give my savior a bit of my treasure. I never thought I'd be able to be miserable, surrounded by what I used to love. I said used to, because during the time I've spent here, I've realized that all this so-called treasure is worthless, especially if you have no one to share it with. Oh, how I wish I could go back in time and give those poor brothers that little money that they asked for. Looking back, I'm not so sure all this was their doing. And even if it was, I can now see that I deserved it. I acted like the spoiled child, thinking I'm better than everyone, acting like I can do whatever I want, without any consequences. There's nothing wrong with having money, but don't be greedy. Share it with the people you know, those you care about, and even with those you don't know. Don't search for love in material things. Search for it in other people, because that's the only secret to true happiness. Oh, and also, don't act like an idiot.